Good morning. This is Mark Lefebvre from the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District with your conservation report. This morning I'd like to talk about cover crops because if you're a farmer, I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about cover crops lately in the farm press. So before you consider planting cover crops, you need to establish some goals as to what you want to accomplish by planting the covers, such as soil erosion, retain nutrients that would otherwise be lost, reduce compaction, add nitrogen through fixation from legumes, improve organic matter, combat weeds, or in general just improve soil quality. The four principles to improving soil health are: keep the soil covered as much as possible. Number 2, disturb the soil as little as possible. 3, keep plants growing as long as possible. And 4, diversify as much as possible using crop rotation and cover crops. So with that said, cover crops play a very important role in improving soil health. Now I'd like to focus on a basic recipe developed by the University of Minnesota Extension and the Midwest Cover Crop Council using cereal rye after corn silage harvest and then planting corn for grain or silage as the next crop. Because I feel that this is a really good opportunity for dairy farmers in Stearns County to at least try some cover crops. So to start out, you need to do some planning, read about cover crops, go to field days, start small, be timely, and then prioritize management based on those purposes and objectives you have. So if possible, plant the preceding corn silage crop early and use a hybrid within the adapted maturity range for your location. Cereal rye can be planted in the fall and produce a successful stand following most spring-applied residual herbicides for corn. If cereal rye is to be grazed or harvested for forage, there are some time intervals, so you need to read those labels. I would suggest ordering your rye seed early, usually by early summer. Named rye varieties can produce substantially more growth and have predictable development, but they are usually more expensive than a variety not stated seed. Use good quality seed from a reputable seed dealer. As far as the fall work, harvest fields where cereal rye is to be planted as early as possible. In general, it works best to plant cover crops following manure application via injection or surface application and incorporation. However, manure can also be injected with low disturbance applicators. Other application methods into or onto an established cereal rye may result in significant damage to that rye. Generally, it's easier to integrate cover crops into no-till or strip-till systems. If tillage is necessary to incorporate manure or smooth the seedbed after corn silage harvest, it should take place prior to seeding the rye. Plant the cereal rye as soon as possible after corn silage harvest and at least 2 weeks before the average hard frost date is 28 degrees. If planting later than mid-October, consider increasing the seeding rate. As far as seeding rate, it should be 40 to 60 pounds per acre, assuming 85% germination rate. Seeding rates should be increased by 20% if you're just broadcasting the seed, and increased by 10% if broadcasting and incorporated. Also, increase the seeding rate if rye will be harvested as a silage crop in the spring. Drill to a depth of 3/4 to 1.5 inches, or broadcast with shallow incorporation to less than 1.5 inches. Terminate that cereal rye in the spring when the plants are 8 to 12 inches tall and actively growing, or at least 10 days before planting. You should familiarize yourself with the rules related to terminating those cover crops with regard to crop insurance. Cereal rye can easily be terminated with a full rate of glyphosate, which would be about a pound of active ingredient per acre, after the rye begins to grow in the spring. Some growers may be interested in harvesting cereal rye as an additional silage crop, but you need to make sure all herbicide rules are followed. Also, this typically will delay the planting date of the next silage crop, but any fall applied nutrients can be counted toward the cereal rye crop in the nutrient management. Corn planting should have proper planter adjustment, and maintenance is critical to achieve success when planting into cover crop residue. Under most conditions, no-till planting of corn is the best management practice, and modern no-till planter setups can handle planting into grass cover crop biomass. Row cleaner attachments can sometimes be beneficial to increase soil warming, but may plug with cover crop residue if not set up properly. Check planting depth and seed furrow closure shortly after you begin planting, and make adjustments as needed. You might want to consider adding starter fertilizer in a 2x2 application, and aim for nitrogen rate of 30 to 50 pounds per acre. This will help offset some of the nitrogen that might be tied up by the cereal rye cover crop. Also, you could consider moving up the timing of in-season nitrogen applications. Should also scout for corn emergence and population and other insect pests after planting. This is one way to try cover crops, and we can also provide more technical and financial assistance about cover crops, so stop in or give us a call at 320-251-7800 extension 3 if you have questions. This has been Mark Lefebvre from the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District with your conservation report, and thanks for listening this morning.